And we're live. We're live. We're live. Okay. Okay. Welcome to our live stream. I'm sorry I'm about 1 minute late. Just as I said that, it changed to 51. 6:50. It was like 58 seconds. And then I pulled up my clock 2 seconds later and it was right on the dot. But that's for 8:50. I mean, that's for 6:51, not 6:50. So I am a minute late. But not really for YouTube. I mean, YouTube, you guys enjoyed 30 seconds of silence while I tried to get Facebook started because I hate to say hello twice. I had to, I always start Facebook. I always start YouTube first because they're going to be on there forever. Facebook live streams get deleted after a month. So if you're not up to date with our live streams, you better hurry if you're on Facebook. YouTube, you have all the lifetime in the world. But I always start YouTube first so that way I keep that way I keep all of the record of my live streams and not just 99% of it. Because when you start Facebook first, the first few seconds, I know it doesn't matter, but you lose it after a month. Anyway, that's why, I start YouTube first. But anyway, sorry for the awkward silence. Just had to make sure Facebook was live. But yeah, now I can welcome both audiences. Welcome to our Once Upon a Time marathon. Now, I was ready to go at 6. Well, here's the funny thing. I was sitting in my bed at 6:05 and was waiting for the live stream, waiting to start the live stream. And I'm like, you know what if I just set up now? Well, tonight's a little different because we have a series changing. So I'm glad I set up a little bit earlier than normal because my 6:30 alarm went off and I still was setting up. The reason why it took almost an hour to set up was because tonight the series changes. Tonight it's not called Once Upon a Time, except for the first episode we're about to watch tonight. It is Once Upon a Time, but then our 2 hour season finale that will occupy the rest of the night. I mean, it's not 2 hours because there's no commercial breaks, but you know what I mean. 2 episode length, right? Season finale. Remember, we started that with season 3 last season. A season ago, we watched the season finale of season 3. That was our first 2 hour episode. Again, reminder how these 2 hour episodes work. We try to make it as if it was one episode. If you're watching the show on DVD, that's perfect. Season 3 did not do this on DVD. They separated the 2 episodes, but season 4 did put them together. And so this is perfect. If you're watching the DVD version for our marathon, you'll be in good hands. We're going to watch the episode titled Mother. So again, get your 5th disc out. In most Once Upon a Time seasons have 5 discs. It would be pretty rare if you had 6. I know that exists out there somewhere, but most times when you buy it, it comes with 5 discs. So, the last disc of the season, right? Season 4. We're watching the episode. If you go to episode selection on your DVD main menu, it's titles are Mother. We're watching the episode Mother, followed by the Operation Mongoose, which is an hour and a half long. And so anyway, it's a movie. So anyway, so you are all set up. You might when the title sequence, like intermission, like when you're watching a Broadway show, when the title sequence shows up halfway through the episode, you might want to pause it because there will be people like myself on Disney Plus or stupid Hulu or stupid streaming services where they separate the episodes in half, and we have to hurry and click the next episode. So you might want to pause it. I usually don't do a countdown because it's supposed to be like one episode. Anyway, anyway, I will just be mindful of that. I'll tell you when to push play, I guess, because anyway, we're not going to try to talk in between because it's supposed to be one long episode. Anyway, but yeah, so speaking of streaming services, if you guys want to get set up and ready to go, I already have my episode ready. Season 4, episode 21. It's 44 minutes and 5 seconds. So again, if you're watching the streaming service version, it's episode 21 of season 4. For DVD, it's probably episode 20, I think, because the episode number is different. We had a Frozen movie in the first half of the season that kind of throws off the episode numbers a little bit. But the episode title is Mother, if you're unsure. Anyway, so episode Mother is 44 minutes and 5 seconds. Season 4, episode 21, if you're watching it on streaming services. And what I would do is if you right click on the top of your screen on the tab that has your Disney Plus on it, right? There should be an option to duplicate. Don't once you duplicate the episode of it 21, you save one so we can start it at 7, right? 44 minutes and 5 seconds should be your timestamp, but the duplicate you just made, go back and get episode 23 ready, I think. Yeah, 23. And make sure you're not watching the recap. Um so let me fast forward. I know at the start, the finale part 2 of the finale will say 45 minutes and 24 seconds. But I'm not watching a recap because it's supposed to be one long episode. And so that the reason why we watch recaps is to distinguish what should be an episode and what shouldn't. I'm gonna pause it really quick. Okay, hang on. Try this again. Okay, 44 minutes and 36 seconds. So if you have two Disney Plus tabs, one, the episode we're about to watch now, episode 21, Mother, season 4, Mother. The title episode is Mother, if you're unsure the number. Episode 21 of season 4 is titled Mother. If that's not what the episode says, then go to the episode that says Mother. It's 44 minutes and 5 seconds. And so keep that in mind. And then on your other Disney Plus, I guess if you're watching it on your TV, don't worry about. If you're somehow watching the show on your computer, make sure you have a separate tab open that has the Operation Mongoose Part 2, and 44 minutes and 36 seconds should be your timestamp. If it's not, that means you got to skip the recap. Go to where it's pitch black. There will be no. I accidentally looked at it. There's no title sequence, so make sure it's pitch black before it starts playing. In the next scene. But anyway, 44 minutes and 36 seconds. What's going to happen is the episode we're watching right now, the Mother episode, the episode before the season finale, 44 minutes and 5 seconds, right? We're going to watch that episode first. And then when it recommends us to watch the next episode, push the next episode. That's going to be Operation Mongoose Part 1. Don't go to your other Disney Plus tab. Don't go to your duplicate yet. When we finish the episode, stay on the one we're on. Stay on the tab that we're on. Stay on your Google tab, and when we finish episode 21, we'll watch the part 1 of the finale of season 4, episode 22. When we're done with part 1, then you switch over to your other Google and you will watch 23. It'll be ready to go. So we're not wasting time trying to push it and then anyway, skipping the recap. Anyway, so yes, my episodes are ready. I have my headphones plugged in. Oh, before we get started, the reason why I was 1 minute late. So I got, I'm still setting up, right? If my 6:30 alarm goes off, I'm all ready to go at 6:35. All I need is my headphones. So I'm waiting 15 minutes, and all I need is my headphones. I can't find my headphones anywhere. At 6:40, I give up. And you remember those one headphones? Okay, so last week or a couple weeks ago, I had these headphones. One end worked, the other end didn't. So if I just kept one earbud in either, sometimes I'd hear the show, and then if it fell out and I accidentally put the other one in, I wouldn't hear it. And so anyway, yes, those headphones were bad. So I used different headphones like last week, right? And I mentioned how I didn't know I mixed them with I have a bunch of headphones on my desk. I mixed them with a bunch of earbuds and I didn't know which ones were the broken ones. So I thought it was the one that was tangled. And I said, I don't think that this was a few weeks ago, not last week. And I said I was going to, while we were watching the episodes, I was going to untangle them. But then I found out the one that I was using that wasn't tangled was the one that didn't have sound in one of the buds. It turns out, so it did have sound. Sorry. Hang on. The headphones that were not tangled did have sound in both bugs. So I didn't have to untangle the cord after all. Okay, sorry. I messed up my words there. I couldn't find those headphones. So after 5 minutes of looking at 640, I decided to get the ones that were tangled. They're probably the ones that only one earbud works. We could test it out as we're watching the episode. But anyway, I spent like 10 minutes untangling them, and I just finished at 650. You know, and then the reason why I didn't start on time is it takes a second to go to push the button, go live. YouTube loads for like a half a minute, right? And then you got to get Facebook. So anyway, that explains everything. Now we're gonna get started. Since we started 1 minute late, I'm okay starting at 7:01. It's 7:01 right now, and we're 30 seconds into the minute. So we're for starting at 7:01, we're also late because it's going to be almost 7:02 by the time we start. But we're ready to start now. So hopefully you guys are ready. I'm excited to watch these episodes with you. Got my headphones. Uh, Probably the ones that don't work. Oh no, good, great. I pull them over and they get stuck in my chair. Oh, great. What a silly thing to happen right as we're about to start. Hang on. Ah, I like they were over here away from my chair, and then I pulled them, and the end went right in the wheel. Okay, I hope I didn't damage them any further. Um, Now so much for trying to start at 7:02. So anyway, uh, but we're gonna start now, probably before it says 7:03, so everything's fine. Um, let's see what we have here. I have a notification. Okay. All right, we're gonna start the show. Okay. So bring up your tab that has the Mother episode on it. Okay. The title, episode title, Mother, season 4, episode 21, 44 minutes, 5 seconds. Have that tab ready. Make it full screen, yada yada yada. Um, I'll try to leave frequently to check for comments. But anyway, get ready. I'm gonna start doing the countdown. Are you ready? You know the drill. It's not when I say one, it's when I say now. Everybody get ready to push play. Put your finger on the button of your remote or computer. Here we go. It's now 7:03. Just want to throw that out there. Yep, starting 3 minutes late. 2 minutes late if you want to disinclude a minute for starting late. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, now. This earbud does not. So, oh look, I think I found it. I think I found it. I should switch them. So we just got to recap. Lily. So we found out that Emma's best friend from her childhood is, Lily is Maleficent's daughter. She had a huge grudge against Emma. She was about to go back to Storybrooke to kill her parents, but Emma was able to stop her. She almost turned evil doing it, but luckily Regina was there to keep her on the straight and narrow. Um, Also, the Wicked Witch came back from the dead. She's alive. She's posing as Maid Marian, Robin's wife, and she's pregnant. And so this kind of complicates things between the Evil Queen and Robin Hood. Because, Robin got tricked into getting the Evil Queen's sister pregnant. So, and Rumple's one step away from making villains get their happy endings. And we're getting a flashback of a wedding that's happening on the grounds on the castle grounds, and it's Regina's castle, and obviously they didn't get Regina's permission to have a wedding there, so she's taking the heart of the groom and crushing it for having a wedding without permission. So keep that in mind. If you want to have a wedding, don't do it on castle grounds. You don't want the King of England to crush your heart. Just kidding. I bet no royal king or queen is like that. Um, but yes, the evil queen said the next time there's a wedding, book the church. Don't steal the castle grounds. Book a church. In what we believe, book the temple. Don't need to have a wedding on King Charles's castle grounds in real life. And once upon a time, that's the evil queen's grounds. Anyway, I'm going to switch my headphones now. It looks like Regina went to. So it's the anniversary of Regina's fiance, Daniel. Remember him? he died. We just experienced Regina losing Robin Hood, but not to death. It was because of Marion. But now that we know Marion is the Wicked Witch, now that we know the Marion's the Wicked Witch, see, both headphones are working. I found them right as we already started the show. I should have looked over there when I was when looking for them in the first place. I could have started more on time if I didn't have to spend time untangling the other ones. Anyway, anyway, anyway. I keep feeling I have to take an earbud out when I need to talk. I forget. I have headphones in. Anyway, it's the anniversary of Daniel's death, and Regina's mourning the loss of her first, true love. And obviously, she did lose Robin Hood recently because of his dead wife marrying me back. But now we know it's the Wicked Witch in disguise. So Regina and Robin can potentially get back together, but we have a problem because Robin pregnant uh, the Wicked Witch. So we do have that little thing on us. It's kind of complicated. Imagine your Imagine you faked your death, and your spouse or wife or husband came back, but you already fell in love and maybe married someone else. You find out that that someone else is not who they say they are, and they only disguised as your second wife or second husband this whole time, that leaving you. Or no, the husband or wife or spouse that came back from the dead ends up being a disguise, and they're actually someone else. That kind of brings up a messy marriage situation where it's like, well, now I could be with my second husband or wife because the first one wasn't really my wife or husband to begin with, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's kind of a messy situation, and it is kind of uncomfortable for the show to do something like that. But anyway, the um, Wicked Witch, so Robin Hood pregnated the Wicked Witch and not knowing it was her, and she was disguised as his wife, so you can't blame him. So now they have a child, and yeah, the mother's the Wicked Witch and the father's Robin Hood. It's kind of weird. Two people who are not supposed to be a couple. But the sister, Regina, the evil queen, Wicked Witch's sister, is a good match for Robin Hood, and that's who we want to root for. Robin Hood and Robin Hood and Regina, not Robin Hood and the Wicked Witch. Rumple is with the author, and they're eating bagels at Granny's. So Emma did not turn evil after all. What a relief, huh? Rumple's probably gonna lose, but we know he's not because of the upcoming movie after this. We just gotta get through this episode and then we can do the movie. I'm excited. Yeah, no evil, no dark savior, no ink. The author says you need evil savior ink in order to rewrite happy endings. There is a loophole. Just poof out of there. Rumple's like on his deathbed. He's almost dying, and he can't walk anymore. He's just gonna poof to his shop. Emma, Lily, Regina just arrived home with the Wicked Witch and Robin Hood. They haven't been home since last week. They left in episode 20 and haven't came back till now. Maleficent and Lily are about to have a mother and daughter reunion. That completes all the Queens of Darkness, by the way. Uh, Ursula got her happy ending when she got her voice back from Captain Hook and lived in peace with her father. And then Cruella was the only one who didn't get a happy ending. She was just pure evil. It wasn't a tragedy like most villains have been on the show. She was just pure evil. Blood, it's nice to have at least one villain who's just black and white, no gray. And she died. Emma killed her. We thought I tried to trick you into thinking she was going to go evil at that moment for killing someone who actually had no ability to kill anybody. So she killed someone innocent. You thought Emma would turn evil, but she didn't. And then we thought she was going to turn evil again when she was going to kill Lily. But anyway, Ursula got her happy ending. Quella did not. Quella died. Maleficent now gets hers, and she's reunited with her daughter. So that completes the Queens of Darkness arc here. In season 5, we're going to move on to another arc, which means I'm going to change my profiles again after tonight, sometime tomorrow. Cora's back. Remember the Queen of Hearts from season 2? And she made an appearance in the Wonderland show. Wonderland's an amazing place. She even used the White Rabbit to get here. How reference that is to the Wonderland show. We haven't talked about Wonderland in some time since we moved on to Oz and Frozen and Queens of Darkness now. And then if you don't want to count the Wonderland show, we didn't talk about it in this show since before the Neverland arc, since season 2. So, well, Cora did young Cora, not this actor, but the young person who played the young version of Cora was in season 3. We had to find out why she gave Selena, remember? So Cora has been in at least one episode of every season so far. She even made her first appearance in season 1 before we found out she was a lot, in a flashback of when Daniel died. And then we found out she was the Queen of Hearts in season 2 and she was in the present. So Cora, she's not a main character, and yet she appears in every season at least once. Hmm. Cora knows about the soulmate. Remember Tinkerbell when Regina first found out that Robin Hood was her next soulmate after Daniel. Speaking of the anniversary of Daniel's death, her fiance, died. Right, her next hope of possibly marriage and boyfriend was Robin Hood. We found that out from Tinkerbell, and we're now getting a flashback of Cora finding out and trying to use that to manipulate her daughter. She's now thinking, if she can't help her daughter rule the Enchanted Forest, maybe she can get her daughter to have a child and raise that child to be as evil as both her, Cora, and her daughter Regina. So you got like evil queen number 1, the Queen of Hearts, evil queen number 2 from Snow White, and then she wanted Regina to have another child to just continue the cycle. Obviously, she doesn't get another child, but she adopts, other than adopting Henry. So we know she doesn't. Cora's plan doesn't work in that flashback. Unlike the Wicked Witch, though, Cora, and this is not a spoiler really, Cora doesn't come back alive. She's just making a cameo appearance. Never, never. It's unlike what we've seen before with Maleficent and the Wicked Witch. We get a cameo appearance and then they actually come back from the dead. That's not what's happening with Cora. I just wanted to tease that she was coming back just to get you excited a little bit for the upcoming for this episode and the upcoming finale. And Rumple's heart is almost completely dark, black. No love, no love left. No love. He's almost full dark one now. He has no ounce of good left. He's been evil for too long. so so just to give you a little dark one knowledge here, you can only for being the dark one, you can only be evil and make sins for so long. Once you make enough sin, you've made too much bad choices to stay alive, basically, as the dark one. When Regina gets her happy ending, she'll be happy. I like that line. But anyway, Sir Rumple is dying. He can't even walk. He's barely standing as it is. He's made so many sins and so many bad choices that he has no good left, causing him to die as the dark one. Now, as far as we know, it would kill his ability to love and not kill himself. And so, plot twist: on his deathbed, and it's going to kill himself. Rumpelstiltskin can die, but the dark one will live. So meaning when Rumple's dead, it's just the dark one. There's no human being. I mean, because the dark one obsesses over a human being, and that human being can be evil for so long that it eventually dies, and the dark one remains. Sorry, it's confusing. But you die, and let's just say you're possessed by an evil spirit. You die, meaning you leave your body, and the evil spirit keeps your body while you leave it. Anyway, it's like that. Never let that happen to you. Never let an evil spirit take over your body. But like, it's kind of like that. Whatever good was in of Rumple's spirit there is left, it's pretty much out. It's been evil for too long. That's the sheriff of Nottingham. We saw him in a Robin Hood flashback. Remember, we saw him. He was taxing Robin Hood when he was a bartender, not a thief. Cora, Cora, and sheriff of Nottingham are discussing a plot to get Regina to fall in love with a soulmate. Now, I bet you're wondering, because remember, when Cora got banished to Wonderland, it was a one-way trip. So how did she get back? And obviously, I mentioned the White Rabbit. There's loopholes. She might not be able to get back through the Looking Glass, but there's other ways to leave realms and open portals besides Looking Glasses. There's magic beans, which are not easy to find in Wonderland. So your best resource is the White Rabbit. I don't think I trust this author. So the author and Regina are discussing Uh, the author is trying to play trust me and saying I only worked with the villains because they were trying to protect me. And yeah, that's no excuse. I mean, you literally ran from the heroes when you first got. Anyway, the author is a villain as well, so I wouldn't trust him. But anyway, Regina, not thinking straight for a moment, is trusting the author to write her happy ending. And he's showing her the page of her and Robin Hood, the alternate reality where she did listen to Tinkerbell and she did fall in love with Robin Hood. We know that didn't happen, but that page that Robin found in the Frozen arc. Anyway, that's what they're doing, and they don't have. And as they're talking, they find a way to get the ink. If you remember, they banished the Savior Darkness into Lily, and that's how Snow and Charming lost Lily to begin with. So if they can't turn Emma dark, and then maybe they can get some of the darkness from Lily, because Lily is kind of dark, and she's made a lot of bad choices growing up. That's a rude way to talk to your mother. I don't need grooming advice from your granny hall. Yeah, if Maleficent leaves town, she turns into dust, just like she was before Rumple resurrected her. Lily does not want to connect with her mother. All she wants is revenge. When Maleficent kind of redeemed herself and decided to move on, she, like Ursula, has layers, and she's not born evil. She was made. And only Cruella was really born evil. So it's like she doesn't. She wants to redeem herself, like repent in a way. And Lily's not interested. She wants to get revenge on Snow and Charming. Maleficent, the mistress of all evil, is coming to Snow and Charming for help. Isn't that something? That is something. That is something. Like normally, like I saw Snow and Charming's scared faces. They thought she was coming back to kill them, but no, no, she was genuinely asking how to connect with her daughter because she's leaving town, and Maleficent doesn't want that, and she wants to try to connect with her and be happy with her. Anyway, it's hard because every family Lily's been with has not gone well, just like Emma's. They've both had a hard time getting adopted. Lily's more obvious because she kept making bad choices that prevented her from being adopted. Emma, on the other hand, just had bad luck. But anyway, yeah, even Henry is like, I thought my wife was banished to Wonderland. What is she doing here? And then, oh, also, while I was talking, Regina was coming to a bus bench to talk to Lily. So looks like Lily is really about to leave, but hasn't left yet. All right. So yeah, Cora found Regina's soulmate, but as we heard them plot scheme, it's not really Robin Hood. It's a sheriff of Nottingham disguised as Robin Hood, and then Cora changed Regina's evil dress to a nice dress she used to wear before she was evil. Anyway, flashback, silly flashback. It has really nothing to do about Cora and Regina, but I mean, it kind of tells us that Robin and Regina are possibly getting back together now that Marion is out of the picture. And hopefully Emma and Hook don't time travel again and bring her back. They won't. Speaking of which, our last season finale was a Back to the Future episode. This time, we're getting an alternate reality, which is kind of like Back to the Future, but we're not going to the past or future. It's the present, but alternate reality. It's a what if scenario. Which, and if you remember Back to the Future Part Two, you kind of saw that with Hill Valley of like, what if George wasn't alive and Lorraine was married to Beth? It's like a alternate reality. So we've had a lot of time traveling to the past and future last season. This upcoming season finale, we're getting an alternate reality present. Two two time travel sort of finales, but it's not. I wouldn't count this upcoming one as a time travel episode. It's not going to the past or future. It's going to a alternate universe. But in a way, it's basically the same thing as going to the past, changing something, and coming back to a different future. It's the same thing. What if all the heroes were villains and all the villains were heroes, right? That's what the alternate reality is about. But since the villains are playing heroes in this alternate reality, I mean, technically, that redefines the villains winning. They don't actually win because they end up being the heroes. So villains still lose, but you know, it's not the definition of it that has changed. It's not the fact that villains are winning. It's more of the evil queen is the good queen, and Rumpelstiltskin is good. He's a good heroic knight. It's Snow White who's the evil queen, and it's Henry that's evil. Lily's good. Emma's evil. Everyone's just switching roles, really. But it disappointed me at first too. I thought it was going to be where villains got their revenge and the heroes died, but no. That's how they beat around the bush here. If you're tired of good winning, let's just have instead of killing the heroes this time, we'll just have everyone switch places because we need our main characters for season 5. If this was a series finale, maybe they could do the other thing. But though that would not be a good way to end the show, really. Do you want our protagonist to lose? No, the antagonist should lose. Anyway, Regina in flashback found out that that wasn't really Robin Hood, and it was just the sheriff of Nottingham with a fake lion tattoo disguised as Robin Hood. Again, another person disguised as someone else. And in present day, Regina, who's not the evil queen anymore, right? Is it took Lily's blood because it has some of Emma's dark sacred magic, thanks to Snow and Charming's spell. If it weren't for them, they wouldn't. Lily would have not grown up in the real world with Emma, and Levison would not have been mad at Snow and Charming for what they did. Lily has turned into a full length dragon. Woohoo! We haven't seen a dragon since season 4, episode 14, when we brought Maleficent back from the dead. And then we also haven't seen a dragon since season 1 and season 2. They found her. Okay, this is sad. And now I don't know if it's sad because I'm not a lady. But imagine you found out. I know I've seen enough movies to know. Imagine you found out you can't have children. That must be hard if you were expecting to have a family with your husband, right? We're about to have one of those moments. The reason why the reason why we never see Regina get pregnant in the show is because of this scene right here. Cora wanted to have a granddaughter or a grandson to hopefully be queen or king after Regina's reign was over. Or if Snow White found a way to defeat her and wanted to stop the next person in line. Anyway. So yeah, Regina found out that was not Robin Hood and locked him in a dungeon, and Cora released him and sent him home. And Cora was a little disappointed in Regina's attitude, knowing that that Regina found out her. her manipulated plan. Yeah, Regina, like unlike mother and daughter. Mother, unlike daughter. Daughter knows hates her mother so much and has lived with her for so long that she knows her mother's schemes, and her mother cannot outsmart you. Have this be a lesson that your mothers and parent dads cannot you cannot outsmart them. They know things. They know you too well. So Cora, Regina, different scene, different storyline. Regina brought the author to the Wicked Witch's cell. I didn't mention this earlier, but at the beginning of this episode, we saw Regina lock her sister in a facility because she's too crazy, too evil to be around. Anyway, Regina is now having a conversation with her and the author and wants to write a happy ending that erases the Wicked Witch from existence. So, the author has the power to do that. It's against the rules, but he has the power to do that. Emma and Hook, our favorite couple, our favorite boyfriend girlfriend on the show, are now having a conversation. Emma's too smart to go evil. That's good for her. We don't want to lose our protagonist, right? We are 14 minutes away from our movie. Woohoo! Check in the comments. That's why I said that. No comments here. And no comments here. Hook is trying to convince Emma to forgive her parents because remember the secret that to save Emma's darkness, to save Emma from darkness, they had to sacrifice Maleficent's child. Remember how bad Snow and Charmaine, fell they after they lost an innocent child to Maleficent, or after they lost Maleficent's child. Sorry, that was poorly worded. Anyway, Hook just said when you were born, they wanted you to be happy, and now they want to make you proud. That's probably true. Emma still hasn't forgiven her parents from that secret. So they found Lily, and as in dragon form, and she's ready to attack. And Maleficent's gonna try to calm her down. She's not like the mistress of evil anymore. She's more like the mistress of good. And if you watch the live action Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent's actually good, and Aurora, Sleeping Beauty's parents, are evil. But that's only the live action Disney movie. Once Upon a Time, no one's evil except for Rumpel Isaac and Wicked Witch. Wings of Darkness are dispersed and distinct now. So as you can see, as I said in the trailer, Snow White tried to run in front of Maleficent to protect her, but Maleficent's the only one with magical powers. Who she could turn into a dragon, and she has a book full of evil spells and stuff. But except now she's good, so she doesn't use that anymore. But Maleficent is powerful. Snow White isn't, so she made the stupid choice to run in front of her, protect Maleficent, but in return, Lily ended up using her dragon tail to knock Snow over and push her between two sharp rocks. And now her head's bleeding. And so they're giving her a band-aid. And Emma, after talking to Hook, is now apologizing to Snow White for not forgiving her. Just because your parents lie and they keep secrets from you doesn't mean you should hate them. You still love them because they make mistakes too, just like you do. Everyone's human, no matter how old you are. Anyway, Emma apologizes to Snow for pushing her away because anytime she comes in for a hug, Emma refuses to hug her parents. Never refuse a hug from your parents. Anyway, Emma's done ignoring her parents or unforgiving them. She's now forgiving them and giving them a hug and willing to accept them as her mom and dad again. because just because they made one sin or one mistake doesn't make them not your parents anymore. They're still your parents. They just make mistakes, and you got to accept that. What a happy reunion! Now we can move on from that mistake. Now we don't have to keep grudges on the whole losing Maleficent's child thing anymore. So we still got Rumple dying and stuff. That's what's going to lead into the finale. Lily finally turns back into a human, and then we're gonna have a mother and daughter. We're gonna have a mother and daughter conversation between Maleficent, the old mistress of evil, and her daughter Lily. Wow, I like that mother and daughter relationship. She doesn't want to be open with Maleficent, her mother, but because she wants a relationship, it kills her. Because anytime she's had a relationship like with Emma in the past, every time she's had a relationship with Emma in the past, it's screwed up. Every time she tried to do good, it backfired. It became evil. That darkness Snow and Charming put in her is serious, but Maleficent doesn't mind the darkness because, again, in real life, we can always repent and be forgiven no matter how bad we've fallen. And if Lily is cursed making bad decision after bad decision, luckily it's never too late to come back to the straight and narrow, and she can keep trying until that darkness is gone. And in the meantime, Lesson's gonna teach her how to be a scary dragon. Save it for Halloween. Anyway, Regina's about to write the Wicked Witch out of existence. We just brought her back. We don't need to write her out of existence. So yeah. So see, that's the problem. If Regina whisks the Wicked Witch out of existence, she's also whisking the child of Robin Hood along with it, because without the Wicked Witch, the child of Robin Hood would not exist either. So, so Regina, Regina, think about this. She's your sister. You don't want to. You don't want to turn back into your mother, Cora. You don't want to be evil. I mean, she's not being evil, but getting rid of another villain is still wrong. She's your sister. You should believe in the best in her. Hopefully, she gets a redemption arc. You're lucky she came back. Rumple's father did not. There's no redemption between father and son. There's can be a redemption in sisterhood if you keep her around. So okay, before I was wrong. This is the scene when we're back to the flashback. This is the scene where if you know you're never gonna have children, you can sympathize with this. Regina made a potion. So Regina just revealed her plot. She made a she took a potion. She made a potion to take away Cora's royal claim on the royal line. If you know what that means, that she has a potential of taking the throne if the child or the mother die. Anyway, anyway, Cora wanted Regina to have a child so that and probably I don't think she was ever going to kill her granddaughter, but I think what she was trying to do is make Regina have a child, and then manipulate that child to be as evil as her, in case Regina doesn't stay that way. Anyway, Regina, who hates her mother, doesn't like any evil scheme she comes up with, so trying to hurt Cora, she makes a potion so that her plan doesn't go into use. She just drank it as I spoke. Regina's now angry at her mother and tells Cora to go back to Wonderland. Cora, for once, was being a mother and wanting Regina to fall in love and get married and have kids, but but it failed. Cora was being a good mother. Go back to Wonderland, mother. I don't need you. Cora. Ah, she was being nice that time. She was actually being a real mother. But like also mean in a way, because I don't think any mother wants to force their child into a marriage and family, right? So quickly. Anyway, Cora decided to spoil her mother's plans by drinking a potion that prevents her from being pregnant. She took away her ability of pregnancy by drinking the potion, and now she can never have a baby Mill because her last name's Mill. She can never have she can never extend a generation. So anyway, now we know why Regina can't have children. She can't be pregnant because she drank a potion preventing her. So sad, right? But luckily you can adopt. And who did Regina adopt? Emma's son, Henry. So there you go. No biological children, but anyway. Regina, having realized this, Cora's lesson of the only one standing in the way of your happy ending is you. When you really think about it, sometimes we're the only ones standing in the way of our happiness. And so we got to really be careful because sometimes we're the ones standing in the way, not other people. Regina, realizing this as Zelena compares her to Cora, Regina is exactly like Cora. Cora put Wicked Witch in a basket and sent her to Oz without blinking an eye. And the Wicked Witch is looking at Regina, thinking you're exactly like her, and that's how we got the flashback of what Regina did to stop herself from having a happy ending. Just because she can't have children doesn't mean she can't have a happy ending. True. But still, she stopped herself from a future family in a way. Because in the Enchanted Forest, I don't think adoption exists. So, anyway. I guess she did get married in the royal family, though, and that's how Snow White became her daughter for a time. Anyway. Regina changed her mind. She decided not to wipe out the Wicked Witch from existence because Robin entered the room, and when she realized that Robin would probably break up with her if she did this, because the Wicked Witch is carrying his child, Regina decided, you know what? I'm not going to stand in the way of my happy ending. I'm going to trust that maybe one day my sister can become good and that we could be happy together, despite how complicated it is with, Robin's child being in the wrong woman. Anyway. So anyway, well, it can't be in Regina's, so because we know she can't get pregnant. Anyway, Isaac being as evil as you could assume, not only pretending to play good. That's the end of the episode, but let me just catch up on how it ended. Isaac, the author, who we thought was going to be on the hero team for a minute, was only being manipulating the heroes. He was only manipulating the heroes just to trick them. He After finding out that Regina did not want to write anything, he was not happy, and he decided to write himself back to Rumpelstiltskin. As the author, he controls the stories. He wrote that Quilla can't kill anyone. He wrote, certain things like the apprentice casting a spell on Snow and uh, casting a spell for the baby Snow and Charming stole. Anyway, he's done a lot of evil things, so you can kind of tell that he was a villain. And yeah, when Regina was trusting him, I was like, I wouldn't trust him if I were you. I knew this from the start. He was evil. Anyway, but yeah, he writes on a piece of paper that says the author slips away with the ink and disappears out of thin air and reappears to where Rumpelstiltskin awaits. So by writing that, it causes him to vanish in a puff of smoke and appear in front of Rumpel. To which Rumpel gives the author the pen and he starts writing. And it's a book called Heroes and Villains, guys. No more Once Upon a Time tonight. We're watching Heroes and Villains. And we write as the author makes his first sentence. Once upon a time, ... Who's ready for the movie? Okay. So we're going to start the movie now. So again, do not switch tabs yet because, the tab that I told you to create is for part 2 of the finale. We're going to watch part 1. So here we go. If you push the next episode, it's called Operation Mongoose Part 1. If you're watching the DVD version, it's just called Operation Mongoose. Just push it. And then on the DVD on the Netflix and YouTube version, Netflix and Hulu version, it's 44 minutes and 10 seconds. Keep that in mind. And then for DVD, it's like an hour and 26. I don't know what the exact time frame is because I'm not doing DVD, but anyway, just make sure you haven't pushed the recap. Make sure that when we all push play at the same time, it says previously. And make sure it's pitch black, not a single second has passed. Okay, just make sure it's 00. If you have a bar screen that tells you the opposite, it doesn't tell you how much is left. It tells you where you're at. Make sure it's at 00. Okay, 0 seconds. Okay, we're all gonna push play at the same time. I pretty much already just recapped the episode that we just watched, so we don't need to do that. We're gonna start the movie. I'm just checking for comments really fast. Okay, no comments. Okay, we're starting the movie, guys. We're starting the movie. All right. I hope you have your movie ready. It's called Operation Mongoose. And obviously, if your streaming service is weird, it's called Operation Mongoose Part 1. But Operation Mongoose, you get it. All right, we're gonna start it. Here we go. Ready? And then remember how I told you earlier to bring up a separate tab of that has part 2 on it. Make sure you have that ready for when part 1's over. So again, 44 minutes and 10 seconds, and then we'll worry about part 2 when we get to it. But anyway, it's also 44 minutes, but 36 seconds. Anyway, but yeah, 44 minutes and 10 seconds is the one we're starting first. Operation Mongoose Part 1. Big movie. Ready? When this episode's over, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to jump right into the next episode. Are you ready? So when I count down, don't push play until I say the word now, okay? Not when I say 1, when I say now. So are you ready? 3, 2, 1, now. Previously on Once Upon a Time, Rumpel's dying. And if Isaac doesn't rewrite the stories, then Rumpel's going to die. Well, Isaac's going to revive Rumpel's life by rewriting the stories. So you better hurry and finish that book before Rumpel dies. It's a knight in shining armor on a horse. Giddy up. Oh, it's just a television screen. We're zooming out to the 1960s where color just got invented and things are not black and white anymore. Jingle bell time. It's Christmas season. Hey, we're watching this when it's the holiday season. It's the last week of holiday season, actually. So we're watching this at just the last minute because next Sunday it's not going to be the holiday season anymore. So this is the last Sunday, of watching this, and It couldn't be any more perfect. I wish it was still last Sunday because last Sunday was Christmas Sunday. I wish we still watched it like a few days before Christmas, not a few days after. But because of New Year's, holiday season is still on. By the way, this is our last live stream of 2025. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Can you believe it's gonna be a new year when we get back? And when we start season 5, it's gonna be a new year, new season. This is why I was okay getting sick because I didn't want to start season 5 before the new year. I wanted to wait until after. So this is perfect. We just wrapped up an old season and we're gonna start a new season, just like a new year, right? 2026 season 5. No season 5 in 2025. Even though that would have been so significant because 25 season 5. But oh well, it's okay. I prefer to wait till 2026. Look at Isaac's boss. All Isaac wants to do is be a writer. And his boss says, now I know why you have no picture on the back of a book yet. You don't tell stories people want. Every time Isaac publishes a book, people could reject it, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I don't think he deserves to be a author or a celebrity because he's evil. Well, at least later on he will be. He just got a letter to a better offer and a better job. So he quits his quits his writing publishing job and or I guess it's more of selling televisions, I guess. And he's only been hired because he wants to be a writer. If that's the only reason your boss hires you, then you're lucky that you want to be a writer. It's The Apprentice. The letter he got was from The Apprentice. Isaac Keller. That's his last name, Keller. I didn't even notice that before. You can always learn something new. I know how many times you rewatch this. Isaac Keller. Interesting. I always knew him as just Isaac. Choose a pen. Choose a pen. Choose a pen. Hmm. Wow. Imagine an interview being like that. You go into a job interview and all they tell you is to choose a pen. Choose one. And that will determine if you get hired. He chooses the right pen and it automatically glows. Fairy tale author. You got the job. Anyway, and Isaac just revealed he's not a traveler. He's never been further than mm, where he's at right now, and he's about to go to different worlds. So you think if you've never traveled in your life, your first trip would be to Disneyland or some other state, and then you move to countries and other cultures. You don't just jump to the end of the line and go to other worlds. I mean, you can't do that in real life, but in fairy tale land, if you haven't traveled before, practice by staying in the real world first to make sure you don't get travel sickness and stuff. Because jumping through portals can make it a lot worse, even though it's a shortcut. It's kind of crazy. Isaac has never believed in fairy tales before. If honestly, if everyone could have just had the power to create a fairy tale door, it would be easy. to get because remember Emma in season 1, who was from the real world? It took her a whole season to believe in fairy tales. And if Henry just had the ability to create a fairy tale door and push Emma through it, she could have believed right in the pilot episode. Honestly, that's the easiest way I've ever seen a real world person believe in fairy tales. The apprentice, they're in the land without magic, and some reason that doesn't affect the apprentice. So he creates a fairy tale door just like he did with the Snow Queen, and he lets Isaac go through, and he's like, "I see it, but I don't believe it. But the fact that you see it means you do believe in magic." And he's now in fairy tale land writing stories. That's the flashback. That's how he got there, all in one scene. It didn't take a whole episode to find that out. We're not gonna get any more flashback for the rest of this episode. Remember the time travel episode? It started with a one scene flashback, but then we didn't get it anymore because the rest of it was spent in the present. Mainly because Emma and Hook were the ones in the past, and that was the present. Anyway, it's confusing, but you know what I mean. Because we had a time travel episode, there was no flashback, except at the very beginning. That's here. We're not time traveling, but that's here. Before our alternate reality, we had to have that one flashback. Everyone's in the sorcerer's mansion looking for books. They're all blank, so you can't really find anything. And then August, the remember Pinocchio, he's back now. He's a human. He's a normal adult human now. We missed him from season 2. Anyway, he knows about the apprentice, and he drew a picture of him. So anyway, Hook, having worked with Rumple in the Frozen arc, saw Rumple trap an old man into the hat. And so, knowing that the drawing was the exact same old man, Hook was able to help them find the apprentice easy. It didn't take episodes or seasons to find him. Anyway, they find with the help of the blue fairy, of course, and the dark one dagger, they finally, or not the dark one dagger, the apprentice's broom, which I guess is a substitute. Again, plot holes. They just want to get around it because Rumple probably has the dagger. Anyway, they used it to open the hat and release the apprentice. So he's for. So we haven't seen him in 2 months. Yes, if Rumple's smart, he's going after the page. Anyway, so the apprentice is now out of the hat and telling everyone, "Hey, Isaac has been evil for too long. We need to go and set things right." And the only way to do that is trapping him back in the book. So we spent this whole season trying to find out who the author was and free him. And now we have to put him back in there because of evil, right? Because he's evil. If only we knew that from the start, we could have saved an entire plot line of wastefulness. Because now that Isaac's out, he's going to do a lot of havoc. I'm sorry I farted. Excuse me. Up is down, and villains get happy endings. That's what the story's about. Up is down. Villains win. Heroes lose. We are just a minute away from villains winning. Oh, wow, wow, wow. So Isaac just revealed if you live in the Enchanted Forest, you will your life expectancy. Pollution is bad. You don't live to be 100. We have a healthier world living in this real world. Never wish to be in fairy tale land because you're gonna live to only be 40. I would not want to live to only be 40. My parents dead already right now. I'm glad that's not the case. Yeah, magic can't bring back the dead. So obviously Isaac was about to rewrite. Isaac was suggesting on changing on talking about Rumple's son, which Rumple reminded him you can't bring back the dead. And Isaac's like, "You're right, but I could change your memories of him." And Rumple doesn't want to forget how his son died. So So with that last piece, it's time to finish. So what they just did, they're walk look at all those heroes walking to Gold Shop. You only have, like, seconds now to finish that book. Oh, no, they're not going to the Gold Shop, they're going to, Snow's apartment to find the book. Henry's probably hiding in his backpack or somewhere. He found it. Hooked up Henry's backpack and found it. Alright, now they're heading to Gold Shop. Oh, no. Oh, no, they're heading to Gold Shop, you better hurry. The end. They're just moments away from trapping Isaac in the book. And right before they can walk into Gold Shop, everything changes. Here we go. Everything's changing. Villains win. 3, 2, 1, go. Villains won. Yay. We start with Henry waking up. Okay. He must have passed out. He has a key on his hand, though. Probably the key to lock Isaac in the book. Grandma and Grandpa are not here. Snow and Charming are not here. No one's home. Henry's friend was born in the real world, so it doesn't affect him. He can't be in the alternate reality, so he's left in the real world all alone. As every fairy tale character in his town banished. Everyone's gone. It's like the town. It's like the town desolated. Everyone's gone. Everyone just abandoned the town. Henry's all alone in Storybrooke. That's how we start this. That's how we start this. We're not even in the alternate reality yet. We get to see what Henry's going through. He's like, "Where is everybody? They're in a fake world." Everything's so quiet. No shop is running. Nothing's running. Hey, look, it's a Tinkerbell in someone's yard. Tinkerbell statue. Windmill. Tinkerbell windmill. It's just a desolate, quiet town. Mm-hmm. Even no one, even Rumple's not in his own shop. It's just this record player playing, constantly playing. Henry's gonna stop it though. Anyway, as I was saying before about Rumple and his son, he wants to remember right by his boy, but instead of dying because of his cowardness, or dying because of the wicked failing to protect him from the wicked witch, he died honorably, sacrificing his life for his father. That's the fake memories that Isaac put in Rumple's head. So that way he still remembers how his son died, but it's not out of cowardness because Rumple was a coward. It was out of heroic sacrifice, which is more noble than a coward. But anyway, Isaac has already wrote towards the end, and the story has already come to life. Only Henry's not a part of it, and he's stuck in the real world with no one around. Henry goes to a nearby city, and she's calling the cops, so Henry's making a run for it. It's a copy of Isaac's book. In the story he wrote him famous since he wasn't a successful author before. He cheated his way to celebrityhood. Heroes and Villains tour. That's an interesting tour. Wow. So Isaac's speech to the public and the news and the way the world works, right? You know. Anyway, he's saying all those classic fairy tales of Snow White, Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, and everyone else. Where all the heroes win the day. But what if people are sick and tired of that? What happens when villains win the day for a modern audience? Wow, that's so evil, though. We want to be good. We shouldn't encourage people to be evil. Anyway, I wouldn't want to be his fan, obviously. Would you? Anyway, someone wanted spoilers because Regina's the evil queen, so that means if she was evil, that means she's gonna get a happy ending in the book. Anyway, some fan wanted to know what if she gets a happy ending, and Isaac says, "Sorry, no spoilers. I can't tell ya." Haha. Yeah, yeah, his publicists, his fans. It's not a real happiness. It's only temporal happiness. Real happiness comes joy and faith and hope and gospel stuff. Like I said, this is an alternate reality. Henry came with the threat of the door and saying, "I'm going to trap you inside it if you don't help me." And Isaac takes him to a private location where fans are not watching and tries to help explain everything. Obviously, you can't use the key to get into his fan copies of the book, but he can Henry can use the key to get into the original book that Isaac wrote in Rumpel's shop. Wow. Isaac can't. The role of the authors is that, well, you can't write your happy ending, and he broke the rule, so he's not the author anymore. The role of if you break an author rule, you end up not becoming the author. He's broke so many rules, so I don't get how that's logically sensible. But anyway, because he wrote his own happy ending, he's no longer the author, and he can't write everyone back to the way they were. So anyway, Henry's up to doing things himself. Henry's up to doing things himself by putting the key into one of the original book's pages and zapping himself inside it, just like how the author was trapped when the apprentice put the key in. So Henry trapped himself inside the book to try to see if he can do something about this alternate realities thing stuff. Alternate reality thing. Yeah. He's in a village and he finds a sword. Obviously, Isaac went to try to stop Henry from putting himself in the book, and he failed. So, in rejection of doing that, he trapped himself in the book. Isaac should have let Henry go, so then that way he can get back to his fans. Unfortunately, unfortunately, he's trapped in the book too. So much for your happy ending, Isaac. You don't get to have your own fan where you are. If any hero gets a happy ending in this book, then it destroys the book. And Isaac doesn't want that to happen. He wants all the villains to win. So he's making sure Henry doesn't cause mischief and trouble by tying him up. He wants everything to remain exactly how he wrote it. So he's tying Henry to a pole. Isaac's like, we're in the final chapter of the book, and of heroes and villains. That's kind of a jump conclusion. What about the first chapter? Anyway, anyway, you open the book with the final chapter. That's not usually how you start reading a book. Anyway, Isaac says it starts with an ogre attack, and you know what they say? You don't need to be faster than the ogre. You just need to be faster than the next guy. So then that way the ogre kills that guy, not you. Anyway, he's planning that the ogre kills Henry, so then that way he does. That way, no one comes to save the villains and the heroes from this fake reality. Wow, with Rumble being a heroic knight and no longer a villain, how all magic comes with a price. In this opposite world, nothing comes with a price, and all of it is free labor. So everything Rumple does is free labor, no price and guaranteed, no repayment for saving the village. And yeah, also like the unlike the dark one, Rumble has a lot of villages to save now. He's doing a lot of good. Honestly, they could have done it to where villains actually got their revenge. They didn't have to make them good guys. But Henry decides to go look for one of his mothers. And he's reading the book to make sure he doesn't fall into the traps. And now remember, it's opposite world. So if Snow White's the evil queen, that means Regina is the bandit that Snow White once was. So she put a lot of traps to protect her home so that no stealer or queen could come get her. Anyway, honestly, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? It's the evil queen now, not Snow White. Snow White's evil. Henry has found Regina's hiding place and got caught by Regina walking in there, and now he has a bow and arrow pointed at him. And the first thing Henry says when Regina says, "Who are you and what do you want?" And he says, "I'm Henry and I'm your son." Imagine a kid said that to you. Would you believe them if you don't remember having kids or getting married? A kid comes up to you and says, "I'm your son." Normally, I think of time travel when it comes to that, but Henry's not time traveling here. He's in an alternate reality where he was not adopted by Regina. Most likely, he'd be adopted by Snow White, but that's one opposite thing they didn't do. Oh, true. So not everything's opposite. Emma still had a child in this universe. It was Henry, but Emma gave him up, and no one ever adopted him. Or actually, he never existed because Henry was born in the real world. So that makes sense why he doesn't get an opposite world here. Anyway, Henry tries to explain to Regina of how he's adopted, how she's his adopted mother, and Regina doesn't believe him. Wow, he's a kid. He's like a 12, 13-year-old kid, and you're putting a knife at his throat, Regina? Okay, she took the knife away, but she was threatening him because he could be a spy of Snow, the evil queen. It's weird to say that. Snow Queen. Snow Evil. How do you call Snow White evil queen? But keep her names. Evil Snow White. Evil Snow White. Yeah, that sounds good. Evil Snow White. She wants to make sure Henry's not one of evil Snow White's spies. Hey, I see the picture of Isaac on the back of that book that Regina's reading that Henry brought with him. Wow. Now Henry doesn't have the book because Regina threw it into her fireplace. And as Henry tried to save the book, he only saved like a page of it. Wow, these headphones are not working. They're just like the other ones. They only have one working in there. Anyway. Mhm. Where Henry, wow, Henry is crazy. He doesn't even know what to do, and he just comes up with the idea of Regina finding Robin Hood and kissing him. So true, true, true. But Regina's supposed to have a happy ending because she was evil in the old book. But I guess now that she kind of redeemed herself and repented of all her sins, I guess it would be fair to say that if she falls in love with Robin Hood, the book would also be destroyed, you know? Because that means she's good. I mean, she's already good as a bandit, but like good. I don't know. Regina's complicated. She should, for her to get her happy ending, it shouldn't destroy the book. It's only should destroy the book if the heroes get their happy ending. And Regina was in the villain column originally. So Isaac found out that Henry survived because he forgot about the ogre slayer Rumpelstiltskin, and knowing that Rumpel saved his life, Isaac's now in the forest looking for Henry, saying, "Henry, please come out. I can help you." I don't think I don't. If I stumbled across him again, I wouldn't trust him. Uh, and I think Henry's smart enough not to trust Isaac. Wow. Oh yeah, I've been talking about the evil Snow White this whole time and you haven't even seen her yet. You get to meet the evil dwarfs. Long live Regina. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, he got that from a fan. Isaac got that from a fan who wanted to see Regina get a happy ending. It's not his, but the dwarfs don't care. They knock him out, and now he has to face consequences. Oh, Isaac's not gonna die though. Snow White's not gonna chop his head off or cut his heart out. Evil Snow White, look at that. It looks good on her. Seen her evil. That's cool. Hmm. Isaac's trying to keep himself from getting killed by the. What should we remove first? Your head, or your ears? Don't chop his head off. Snow White, don't. You're not a killer. Oh my goodness, they want to remove his head. They want to execute him. Charming's about to swing his sword over to cut his head off, but Isaac says one thing to keep himself living. I know Snow White truly loves. What a plot twist. More. Isaac just said, okay, that was interesting. But Isaac just said, okay, hang on. Hang on. So hang on, just to sync yourselves back with me. Isaac just said, um, hang on, let me go back. Let me go back. Isaac just said James was cruel like you, but I just played it to make sure there wasn't anything else. There wasn't, but anyway, um, now he said you understood each other. So basically what he's saying. So that's for anyone who's watching the Disney Plus or Hulu version. There's 12 minutes and 19 seconds left. So make sure you have 12 minutes and 19 seconds left, and then we'll push play. But anyway, if you're on the DVD version, pause it right after Isaac says you understood each other. Pause it right after that line. That's where we are. The internet turned off for a split second, and everything froze. So anyway, uh, I'm just gonna say now, and we can resume. Three, two, one, now. Okay. Anyway, Isaac is explaining that that in this alternate universe, Snow White, remember, Charming has a twin brother. Prince Charming has a twin brother, and James was the evil one. Now in this world, James is the hero. So anyway, Snow White falls in love with James, but then because of Regina, not being able to keep a secret, just like Snow White couldn't about Daniel. That's how it's opposite world, right? Regina, little girl Regina ends up telling Ava, who I guess was actually evil at the start. So I don't get how she's the opposite, but I guess it doesn't go back all generations. Anyway, for telling Ava about Ava, who's like pretty much Cora in the opposite world, right? Telling Princess Ava, Snow White's mother, that Snow White loves James. Ava kills James, and then because he has a twin brother, unlike Daniel and unlike Regina, Snow White's able to satisfy her hatred towards Regina pulling out pulling out Charming's heart and forcing him to be his, even though Charming does not want to be Snow White's husband. He's forced into it by pulling out his heart, kind of like Graham was with the Evil Queen. So anyway, if that story makes sense to you, great. I'm sorry if it doesn't. I try my best to make sense of it for you. Regina, despite everything, still wants revenge on. I mean, evil Snow White. I forget we're in opposite world. Evil Snow White still wants revenge on Regina for being responsible of killing James, for not telling a secret. But anyway, yeah, Regina told a secret, just like Snow White did. By being in Snow White's shoes, maybe when Regina wakes up from this alternate reality, she's gonna realize what it was like to be in Snow White's shoes, and maybe fully forgive her after this. So anyway, you never know. You never can really forgive someone unless you're in their shoes. Sometimes. Anyway, huh. Wow, Regina is saying you lost one happy ending, and I'm sorry for that. But dude, killing more people and killing all my followers is only going to leave you a hole in your heart, and you'll have no one to love but your fake, your forceful, charming, your fake charming. Robin Hood just saved Regina's life. Snow White was about to pull Regina's heart out, but before she did that, she decided to find out where the boy was, and because Isaac told Snow White about the boy, and and that Isaac wanted Snow to kill both of them. Anyway, Snow White wants to know where the boy is. It's not safe for a 13-year-old child to be running around in this story right now, right? Every evil person is after him. Anyway, Snow White wants to kill Henry, and and Regina won't tell Henry, won't tell Snow White where Henry is. And then right before she decides to throw a fireball at her, Robin Hood uses one of his arrows to shoot the evil Snow White, not kill her, but shoot her in a way that prevents her from killing Regina, and then whisk by on his horse, grabbing Regina out of the situation and saving her life. And now they're at a tavern having a drink, thanking each other for saving each other's lives. And Regina did get hurt in the process, so Robin's trying to give her a band-aid, the kind of band-aid you would have if you didn't have modern technology, if you lived back in the good old dark times, just putting a blanket bandage around your hand. Wow, so Robin Hood is still a thief in this alternate reality, but Regina, on the other hand, is also a thief, but only stealing to for herself, while Robin steals for other people. And I think Robin is giving up his thieving days just because of a woman. And you think it's about Regina, but it's not. He's saying it right now. Have you ever met someone that you would change your entire life for? He fell in love with someone, and that's what stopped him from stealing. He can't be a thief. Yep. Robin Hood's getting married, so he doesn't want to be a thief anymore because he's getting married and wants to choose the right. Plot twist, in this alternate reality, Robin Hood marries the Wicked Witch. Whoa. And after how gross we saw when she disguised as Robin's real wife and forced him into pregnancy. Whoa, that was as inappropriate that is. Now we're seeing a world where they actually are married. Wow. Wicked Witch and Robin Hood actually married for once. That's not a couple I would ship. I'd rather prefer boyfriend girlfriend with Robin Hood and the Evil Queen, not Robin Hood and the Wicked Witch. Anyway, Regina's giving gratitude for Robin Hood saving her life. Hmm. Yeah, Regina was kind of falling in love with him for a second until she found out he was about to be married. Hmm. Henry walks by. Everything is flipped. So that means whatever Regina's happy ending was, it's now the Wicked Witch's happy ending. And Regina's the one who was abandoned. But she doesn't turn green, at least. Unlike the Wicked Witch. Regina doesn't deserve a happy ending. That's sad. Wasn't the whole point of on rewriting stories to help Regina get a happy ending in the first place? And when that finally happens, it's she doesn't have one. Regina says hope and faith are the worst things you could have given me. Henry is giving her hope and faith. Robin Hood. Hmm. Regina doesn't want to believe Henry. Henry's trying to explain that this is a fake reality and that your true love is Robin Hood. You have to stop the wedding happening. Break, have Robin break the Wicked Witch's heart so he can fall in love with Regina, the evil queen. Anyway, but you have until the bell's set. All magic comes with a price, and the price of this alternate reality is that you haven't. If you want to undo it, you have until the wedding bells. Otherwise, it becomes real forever. So, you guys, are you rooting for Henry to find a way out of this reality? Or do you want to be in this reality forever? Do you like what the show was before, or do you prefer this way better? Do you like evil Snow White, or do you like evil Regina better? Do you like heroes being villains and villains being heroes, or do you like how it was before? If you don't like this as the original show, then you want them to win, right? You want them to break the rules of the book. You want them to you want them to help a hero get a happy ending before the wedding bells. Otherwise we're stuck in heroes and villains forever. And I've got to be honest, Once Upon a Time is better than heroes and villains. Anyway, Regina doesn't believe Henry, and she's all the faith and hope Henry's been trying to give her. She calls that the worst gift ever. Faith and hope is not the worst gift ever. In this story, everything's the opposite. So I guess you shouldn't have faith and hope in this world because it's the worst thing ever. Misery and heartbreak is the best thing in this alternate universe. So honestly, we don't want this because it basically takes what's true and makes it opposite, makes it untrue for sure. You know. Anyway, so we want to get out of this alternate reality. Regina finally, so Emma, so as we found out, okay, it's rolling credits, and we want to treat this like it's one episode, so we're not going to talk much in between. But let me just say, at the end there, Regina, we originally was told by Isaac, the author, that Emma was not in the book because she was the savior, and there was no room for saviors in his world of fairy tales. So he wrote Emma out of the book, just like Henry. Henry was accidentally written out because he was born in the real world, but Emma was born in fairy tale land, so she could have existed, but Isaac purposely wrote her out of the book. That's what we were told. Plot twist: Emma is in the book, and Regina, as Henry describes who she was like, Regina, finally reveals to Henry, having known this person before, he says that Emma, the savior, was locked away by evil Snow White years ago. The prison she is in is unbearable, and it's a hidden tower in the middle of the sea. Unable to attend unless you have a boat, and you have to cross the sea to get to her. She's in a prison that's in the middle of nowhere, and she's chained to the top of a tower. And as we saw the episode end, Emma screamed. So anyway, we're watching the next part though. So anyway, you can get rid of your Disney Plus tab from part 1, and now that we have part 2 pulled up, get ready to push play. Again, no recap because it's all one episode. 44 minutes and 36 seconds should be your timestamp. I told you to prepare this when we started the live stream to begin with, so if you didn't, that's on you. Pause the live stream or just be ready. But yeah, if you're watching the DVD version, skip the recap. Or no, DVD version has it in one setting. So you should be having the title sequence card. Once the title sequence is gone, pause the video and only push play when I say so. So are you ready? 3, 2, 1, now. Okay. If we're in Grumple's on his horse in the Enchanted Forest. Man, the night's almost over. Can you believe it? Rumpel is coming home to his wife, Belle. And they have a child. They have a son. But it's not Bellfire, if that's what you're thinking. It's what they would have had if they had a successful marriage and not fill it with lies and stuff like that. So Isaac, so Rumpel comes in, and they have a son, Rumpel and Belle. Isaac comes along and gets water from Belle, and when Belle's out of the house, Isaac warns Rumpel that is happening danger, and because of Henry, and if Henry helps the bandit Rena stop the wedding of Robin Hood and Wicked Witch, um, everything's gonna crumble. The whole book will disappear. And so anyway, um, moving on from that, Rumpel obviously having his memory wiped and doesn't remember the real world, doesn't believe Isaac, and he thinks that he's the one threatening his family, and tells him to go. He even mentions about his son Bellfire, which Rumpel's told no one about in this alternate reality. And he's like, "Where'd you hear that?" Isaac says, "In this story, he died despite your heroic efforts, but in reality, he died because of your cowardness," which is true. He died because of Rumpel, and Rumpel, not believing this, tells him to get out for disrespecting his son like that, and saying that it was his fault for not protecting him. Anyway, Isaac agrees to go, but he says he says, "All right, I'll go," and he leaves Rumpel with a warning and saying, "If you don't stop the boy or Regina, then you're happy. You know, you're happy ending, and Belle will know your secret too. His secret about his son Bellfire, and you're not really a hero. Plot twist. We know that. Not really a hero. He's just faking it. And if he doesn't want people to find out, like Belle, he needs to stop Henry in the wedding. Otherwise, everyone will find out who he really is." Henry, on the other hand, needs to go across the ocean to save his other mom, Emma. He already tried with Regina, but nothing worked. So now he's going to see if Emma could persuade her. And so he needs a ship, and he wants to take Hook's ship. But in this alternate reality, it's not Rumple who's the coward, it's Hook who is. He's too much of a coward to be a pirate and be a captain of a ship. So, Blackbeard is the bully. And, we've seen Blackbeard before in season 3, if you remember, Eric and Ariel and stuff. Anyway, not getting into that because that's not what this is about. But anyway, Blackbeard is the boss of Hook and bullies him and tells him to swap the decks, and or else he'll be killed or something. And anyway, Henry being smarter and standing up to bullies, and uses some ship material to knock Blackbeard out. He's smarter than Blackbeard. Blackbeard's drunk and dumb. Blackbeard gets knocked out, and Hook throws him overboard, but Hook doesn't know how to sell a ship in this reality, so Henry teaches him, and Henry ends on the ship. Henry helps sell a ship. Helps Hook learn how to sell his own ship. And now they're at the tower about to knock some knights out and save Emma. Emma looks up. Emma and Henry hug. Emma's chained to the ground, though. Keep that in mind. Emma not having been around lately for this entire night, except for I guess that episode we watched before the movie. Anyway, and Henry catches Emma up on everything with the wedding plans and stuff. In this world, Emma is the only person who knows the truth, but she's powerless to do anything about it, and she's not the savior. She has no savior magic, so she can't do anything. But luckily, Henry has a plan to stop the wedding of of Wicked Witch and Robin Hood. One of the knights that Hook and Henry had knocked out, with the sword and stuff, was not a real knight. One of them was Lily disguised, and she's turned into a full dragon again, and kind of upset that Emma escaped her tower. So she's coming after them to attack with fire. Dragons breathe fire and can kill people with them. So anyway, luckily there's a canyon there's a canyon on Hook's ship, and they can use it to fire at Lily before she can strike fire at them. They're trying to get her attention so that she can come over here and shoot fire at the ship, at the dragon. They shot just in time as Lily was about to throw her dragon fire at the ship and kill Hook, Henry, and Emma. They shot the cannon and killed her before her fire could reach the ship. So, phew! It burnt out in the wind before it could touch the ship. That's good. In this world, Hook's allergic to rum. Okay, that's good. I don't want him drunk. Anyway, Hook is a coward. That's new. Captain Hook a coward instead of Rumple. Rumple's a brave knight. Let's work on your fighting skills. Emma's going to teach Hook how to fight and be less a coward. Snow White, on the other hand, is calling in for a council meeting of all the dwarfs. The 7 dwarfs, remember them? Wow, even Granny's part of this council. She's evil, just as evil as the dwarfs are. I wonder what happened to Red Riding Hood. Hmm. I'm getting tired and tired of talking. Wow. So Snow White killed Doc. You know Doc, the first dwarf you meet? Now you're down to 6 dwarfs. Snow White and the 6 dwarfs. Now you're down to 6. And she whispers to Grumpy, do you want to make it 5? Find the Princess Regina and the boy and kill them. Wow, Snow White used to be a nice princess of kindness and love, and now you're so evil. Just killed one of your dwarfs. And you force someone to be your prince when they're not really your prince. And they don't want to be, probably. Oh, man. And just when I had the Storybrooke shirt on, we're spending most of the night not in Storybrooke. I did have my Christmas shirt on last week. This can make up for last week, at least. I was wearing my, I think, was it a Santa shirt, I think? Anyway. I hate when our nights are almost over. I hate waiting a week for our next live stream. We only got like 40 minutes left of our live stream and about 25 minutes left of our movie. So, oh my goodness, Lily was working for evil Snow White. And so even though Emma shot her with a cannonball, Lily somehow survived and told the queen, and now she caught them red-handed and they're backed in a corner. Mhm. Hmm. Aw, is Snow White awake? Emma's about to put a smile on her face. Ouch. For a moment, Emma was trying to remind Snow and Charming who they really are. You're our parents. You're my parents. You taught me how to believe in faith, hope, family, gospel principles, But, now that they're the evil ones, Emma's trying to get them to believe in hope and faith as well. Unfortunately, unfortunately, Snow and Charming played along for a quick second, saying, "Emma, you're right. Hope is a very powerful thing." And then snaps, tricks the audience to thinking, haha, her speech about hope and faith did not work on Snow and Charming. They're still evil and they're still in their alternate selves. And so she's like, I'm gonna snuff it out of you and that awful son of yours. How rude. You know that's your grandson, right? Hook volunteers to sacrifice his life while Emma and Henry make an escape. When you're a coward and you have no fighting skills, I don't know if that's a risk you're willing to take unless you have a death wish. And Hook might have a death wish. He was a natural though. By instinct from Emma and learning how to fight on the way back to shore from their ship, Hook did become a successful fighter, knocked Charming out of bounds, but Snow White, on the other hand, offered a distraction, which caused Charming to get up and stab him. Hook is now dead. We stabbed Hook. Hook died. Oh no, what happened to our Captain Swan? It's just Emma and Hook. Weren't you rooting for them? Hook sacrificed his life as Emma and Henry made an escape. Emma watched her own boyfriend die. How sad. Well, it was good for a good cause, and you don't want his sacrifice to go in vain, so luckily they ran at the last second when they did. Hmm. Rumpel, after an exhausted day of saving villages, comes home to his wife to have tea. How cute. Belle is sympathizing. Rumpel, you're not really a hero though. Belle. If only you knew. If only you knew how evil Rumpel actually was. Anyway, Rumpel comes to tell Belle that there's a threat to our world, and if he doesn't stop it, it could destroy everything we built together, all our happiness, our family, our love. And Belle gives him faith and hope that he can overcome this, but it's more complicated than that. And she's like, "Here, have a cup of tea. Things won't be as hard after you have a cup of tea." Now, just like any wife would say, probably. But if Belle only knew this was a fake world and that her husband was actually evil, actually heartbreaking, and what's the right word? Who gets the best of you? I don't know what words I'm trying to think of. Not abusive. Rumpel wasn't abusive. He was a good. He was a respectful husband to his wife, but he was evil. Trying to think of the right word. Um, it's an abusive relationship because of keeping secrets and stuff, but not physical abuse, just verbal abuse. Really, not really verbal abuse. I don't know what I'm saying. Rumple and Belle have not a good relationship because they keep secrets from one another, and Rumple's evil and chooses power over love. Whatever relationship that is called. Sorry, I've been gassy today. Even my body is saying that this is an alternate reality and we need to save our real world. before it becomes permanent. Honestly, I would not do a marathon if the whole show is basically this alternate reality. I like the idea that people come to the real world and villains get redemptions, but I don't like the idea of Snow White being the evil one and Regina being the good one. I just like the idea of villains getting happy endings, but keep it original. Keep the evil queen evil and keep Snow White good, or not keep them good, but keep them in their respectful character form. Don't have them switch places. Luckily this is temporal. Not my favorite finale, but still, it's only one long two episode length, of a thing. Anyway, Emma is coming to Regina's hideout, which Henry knows where it is because he's been there before. Remember, and Emma is coming to convince Regina that everything Henry is saying is true. He talks about how all you have to do is tell Robin how you feel, and that will change everything. And he uses the example of Hook's death, saying that she's never used the words "I love you." And Emma's girlfriend has never. I mean, Emma's boyfriend has Emma has never said "I love you" to her boyfriend, and now that he's dead, she'll never get to have the chance to say "I love you." And Regina, feeling sad and empathy towards that, he's like, "You gotta tell Robin Hood that you love him before he dies, before it's too late." Robin Hood's not gonna die, but before it's too late. Anyway, Emma was kind of laughing because a long time ago in the beginning of season 4 she promised to help Regina get her happy ending, and now she's fulfilling that promise, which is what makes her so happy. Regina not remembering this is like cool. Rumpel just shows up out of nowhere to stop the wedding from being interrupted, and he's like, "Go, I got the dark one." Emma's distracting the dark one while Snow White sneaks in. Anyway, Anyway, Rumpel's not the dark one in this world, though. He's the light one. He's a good guy. If only he could have been good in the real world, that would have changed everything. I do. They're doing the wedding vows right now. Robin and Zelina. Regina, get into the church. They're about to say, you know, you may kiss the bride. You only have a few seconds left to stop the wedding. Wow, Rumpel has knocked Emma out. Didn't kill her though, thank goodness. We need her on the show. She runs the show. Um, Emma's knocked out. She's not the savior. And Henry is left, a 13-year-old boy whose life is on the line. And Henry, having little use of sword skills, only can occupy himself alive for just a little bit. Rumpel's just a swing away from killing Henry, and then Regina. That's when Regina decides, instead of stopping the wedding, he jumps in the void to prevent Henry from being killed. So instead of being stabbed, Regina jumps in the way, and Rumpel ends up stabbing Regina instead. Regina sacrificed herself for her adopted son. Imagine your mother sacrifice their life for you. That's probably the best thing a parent can do, because nothing's worth the loss of a child. So if someone has to die, it's going to be the parent. Anyway, anyway, the wedding bells have rang. Regina did not go into the church. The wedding did not get stopped. So therefore, we're not going to be able to change the book. The wedding bells have rang, and the world is permanent. That's kind of sad, isn't it? Regina is dying though because she got stabbed by Rumpel. Hey, there's Will Scarlet. Nice to see him there. Just saw him in the little crowd of the wedding crowd. I think that's the last we'll ever see of Will Scarlet. He only appeared in season 4 of Once Upon a Time. So, Heroes and Villains, I mean. Once Upon a Time and this episode of Heroes and Villains. Once Upon a Time in Wonderland as well. But I don't think we'll see him again. So that wraps up our Wonderland references. Now you could pretend the show never existed. Isaac shows up out of nowhere, celebrating his victory of keeping the book real. And Emma punches him and says, "Change it. Bring back Hook, save Regina." And obviously, Isaac can't change a thing because he's no longer the author. He lost that ability. He lost the authority in a way, like when you fall away, you lose you lose blessings and stuff in the gospel. Here's how people lose things in Once Upon a Time. You lose the ability of authorship. Luckily, Henry picks up the pen that accidentally spilled out of Isaac's purse, so not smart of Isaac to have that happen. And it glows the way Isaac had his. Remember his job interview test from the beginning of the finale, part 1, right? Henry just touched the pen and it glue like it did when Isaac touched it. So now Henry's the new author. Yep. We're all back in the real world. So if you're confused of what just happened, Henry became the new author by picking up that pen and it glowed just like when Isaac picked it up. Henry's the new author. He has the new authority, just like when someone doesn't want to do the will of the Lord anymore, it passes on to someone else, or when they die. Anyway, so now with the mantle being on Henry for being the author, he in the fake reality, in the real world, you need the savior's evil blood, but in the fake world, you don't. And so, anyway, to bring everyone back to the real world, Henry just takes Regina's blood because she's dying. She got stabbed, so there's blood coming out of her stomach. Henry takes the blood that's coming out of Regina, and in the fake reality, Regina's the savior, and she's good. And you don't need evil, dark savior magic. You need light savior magic to undo what Isaac did. So anyway, just like how we need Lily's blood, evil blood to create this fake reality, now we need righteous blood to bring everyone back. So anyway, Henry used Regina's blood as ink and wrote on a blank page that because of the heroes and Regina's sacrifice, Isaac's villainous work was undone. Regina was considered a hero, and Isaac was considered a villain. And they wrote, how that since we couldn't get the wedding to stop before the wedding bells rang, Henry found a way to save everybody by forcing the reality to corrupt. Because that's the power of the pen. It can change things. So anyway, Henry changed it for the better and changed it to bring right things back in order. Everyone's back. Everyone's enjoying themselves. Every time we get to a season finale, everyone lives happily ever after until the very end. Remember last season? Everyone lived happily ever after until Emma brought Marion back, and it caused Regina to almost go evil again. And then we saw Elsa come. We're in that situation again. You might think this could be like a good end to the series, and the show could be over right now, but no. The show stayed too good to end here. So, reveal on to the next season in next year. Right? Not yet. The episode's not over yet. But anyway, as I was saying that, and if you were watching, Emma was about to tell Hook that she loved him because she's never used those words before, remember? However, Emma got too nervous and got too scared of saying the words "I love you," to Hook that she just thanked him for sacrificing his life. The reason why Hook's alive is because any death that happened on the in the book, any death that was fake was not real. Any death that happened in Heroes and Villains was not real. So that brought Hook back and it brought the Dwarf Doc back. So if you're confused why Hook's back from the dead, it's because anything that happened in the fake reality that we were just in was not real. So thanks to Henry. If it weren't for Henry, it would have been too late and it would have been real. I wanted you to think that when the wedding bells rang, we were going to be stuck in Heroes and Villains for the rest of the marathon. But no, no, it's temporal. Don't worry. We're back to our better story here, where fairy tales are in the real world and everyone's their respectful character. Snow White is a princess, and Regina, well, she's not the evil queen anymore, but she still at least was the evil queen instead of Snow White. We're back to normal, basically. Anyway, Isaac also runs away with his pen and book and tries to get out of town before he gets caught and arrested. So anyway, he leaves Rumple to die in his shop, and then obviously Snow and Charming catch him before he crosses the town lines. So and they're arresting him. He's not getting trapped in the book after all. He's just getting arrested and locked in a facility home. So Isaac's reason for being evil was because of one bad boss that told him he couldn't write stories that people wanted. He had a lifetime of bad bosses, though, and that's no reason to be evil. That's what villains do. They make themselves happy at the expense of others, and that just makes them more unhappy. That's the secret about villains. Is if you want to know the difference between a villain and a hero, villains make themselves happy, or despite what they do to others. They don't care what happens to other people. They just want to make themselves happy, and that just makes them more unhappy later on and causes a hole in their heart. Heroes, on the other hand, care about other people more than themselves. They don't care if bad things happen to themselves as long as they're making other people happy. That's the difference between heroes and villains. I hope we learned something tonight. You might want to keep me on low volume because I talk loud. So Henry is having a conversation with the apprentice, the one who hired Isaac to be the author in the first place. Anyway. See, this is what I'm trying to say. Isaac, so the author, so no, the apprentice is trying to explain to Henry, because Henry wants to bring his real dad back. Remember Bellfire, who died in season 3 because of the Wicked Witch and part of Rumple's cowardness? Anyway, Henry cannot use the author pen to bring back Bellfire because he died in the real world. But Hook didn't. Hook died in a fiction created by Isaac, and because of Henry, that fiction has been erased. When Henry undid Isaac's evil mistake, he erased everything, including Hook's death. So the only reason Hook's back alive is because his death was never real. But Bellfire was, and so. So anyway, the apprentice tries to give Henry empathy about how the best way to show love for those that are gone is to tell their stories. And as you see, he opens the Once Upon a Time real book, and he says, these stories can never be erased because they're more than stories. They are the truth, and the truth is what you must write. The apprentice tries to tell Henry, never choose to write someone's story. Only record what happens. Unless you want to end up like Isaac, trapped in the book, right? The apprentice is just trying to warn Henry, and anyway, and then of course Henry decides to break the pen, like literally kill the power. He decides that no one should have that much power. No one should be the author because with that much power, you can get into a lot of trouble, like Isaac did. And so anyway, Henry, without risking of himself getting trapped in the book someday, he decides to break the pen and never become the author. Anyway, probably smart choice on him. And as the apprentice said, maybe this time we found the right author for the job. Because Isaac was no right to be the author. He was evil. Henry's not. Anyway. Belle is knowing that Rumple's dying, is trying to take care of him despite his evil and divorce with her. Rumple's trying to help her ex-husband right now. Belle and Rumple are having a conversation about the life they could have had. A good marriage with a good family and a good life, built from Neil, who died. You could have had it here. You could have had it in the real world. You could have had a good kid. You could have had a good family and a good marriage from Neil. Unfortunately, Rumple destroyed his marriage by lying and keeping secrets, and he's facing the truth again with Belle. However, Belle's not crossing it, forcing him to go over the town line this time. He knows he's dying, so she just wants to be by his side. Rumple's warning Belle that once he dies, only the Dark One remains, and there's no man behind the beast anymore. It's like the prince dies and the beast stays alive in Beauty and the Beast. Imagine if instead of the beast turning into a human at the end, imagine watching Beauty and the Beast and the prince dies and the beast is alive forever. So no breaking the spell. Like, God. That's what's happening here. Everyone's having a party at Granny's, but we got Rumple's death, and there's a lot more going on. So the show's not over. It's not over. We barely even passed halfway at the start of the season. And or if you don't want to count the spin-off series, it was about after the Frozen arc, halfway through the season, we passed halfway. If it took 3.5 seasons to get halfway through the show, we have 3.5 seasons to go, and we just went through half a season, which means we have 3 seasons left. If we just, if it took 3.5 seasons to get halfway, and we just watched 4 entire seasons of the show now, we still got 3 seasons left. So it's not over, despite how happy and conclusive this is. The show has been renewed several more times. Our marathon is well, I would say it's nowhere close to over, but it's also nowhere close to beginning either. We're past halfway, like I said. So we're closer to the end now, but not as close as my words are saying. We are still far, far away. And we're not going to be done until like June. So we got a half a year still going on right now. So if you're tired of this marathon or you need a break and watch other shows, then by all means, but find some time to catch up when you're done taking a break because we're still doing Once Upon a Time until the summer. So anyway, Emma officially apologized to Snow and Charming for one more time about not forgiving them of their secrets because now she's seen them as real villains, and she regrets holding a grudge against them for so long. And so now they have an official apology and they made up. And now no more worrying about Maleficent and her child and abandoning her and keeping that secret. All is forgiven. No more secrets are held from Charming anymore and Snow White. Um, Emma then goes to Lily, and Lily also wants to find out who her father is now. That storyline never gets picked up in season 5. Let me just say that right now. We know who Lily's mother is, Maleficent, but we're never going to find out who her father is because we're going to focus on other stuff. So I'm sorry if you want to hear what Lily's father is. I'm sorry if you're looking forward to finding out who Lily's father is, but you'll never find out. That's the truth. That's not a spoiler. Anyway, Belle comes in, ruins the diner just like Emma did a season ago with Marion, and says that Rumple's dying. So everyone's rushing to his shop to save his life. The apprentice has a theory that he could keep Rumple alive if he takes all the darkness out of his heart, preventing him from being the dark one, basically. Because all that darkness was him dark that because that's because all that darkness is from being the dark one. So taking that darkness out makes Rumple no longer the dark one. See, look at the dagger. It's disappearing. It's disappearing. So no one's the dark one right now. As of this moment, no one's the dark one. Apprentice puts the heart back into Rumple's chest. However, he's still knocked out and he's barely breathing. So if Rumple could be dead. So anyway, Rumple's been the Dark One for centuries. So to return back to the coward he used to be before being the Dark One, it's not going to be easy. And there's no telling if he will be alive or die when he finally wakes up from his coma. He's pretty much in a coma as we speak. However, that darkness cannot. They use the hat to trap all that darkness in there. However, the hat, despite how infinite it is to trap someone in there, the dark it couldn't hold the darkness for long, and now it's attacking the apprentice. And because he's old and of old age, right? He's dying. So the apprentice is dying. We're having deaths on the show. Rumple is still in a coma, so there's no telling if he's going to live in the next season. So you might have to say your farewells to him for now. As far as the apprentice, he's only dying because of old age. His body couldn't stand all that darkness attacking him. And so luckily the apprentice is not the dark one. Emma stopped that from happening. He sent the darkness out of Rumple's shop, so who knows who that darkness is going after now. It's kind of scary. So the sorcerer battled long before the stories began, long before Once Upon a Time started, long before the pilot. The sorcerer battled the darkness. The sorcerer battled the darkness. He was able to consume it by trapping it into someone. And the sorcerer is the only one with the power to destroy the darkness once and for all before it destroys everybody. I just repeated what the apprentice said as he said it. They have to find the sorcerer and stop him and stop the darkness from destroying everybody. Plot twist! Merlin! The Merlin from Camelot, Sword in the Stone. Seen the Disney movie? Go watch it. Sword in the Stone, Merlin, white beard, old man, just like the apprentice. He's the only one that can destroy all the darkness. They need to find Merlin. Where do you think Merlin is? Camelot? Is he in Camelot? I need to talk to you guys when this episode's over. But anyway, it's not going to be a spoiler anymore when you find out in season 5 we're going to Camelot, where King Arthur is, and Lancelot, and Guinevere, Sword in the Stone. Anyway, as the apprentice gives his last breath, everyone walks outside to find the darkness, and they end up in the middle of town square where the clock tower is, and they're in the middle of Center Street, and the darkness is attacking Regina. Regina has spent so long not being the evil queen anymore. Remember in season 4 when she was about to go evil again because of Emma bringing back Robin Hood's wife? We don't need her to be the dark one and evil, right? No. We want Regina to stay good. She's been good for too long. We don't want to ruin her progression. Emma doesn't want to see Regina become the dark one and immortal, so she's trying to do what she did to the apprentice by using her savior magic to stop the darkness from entering Regina. Emma decides to take the darkness in herself because the apprentice said it has to be contained in a person. It has to be in a person to contain it. No, Snow and Charming don't want to see their daughter go dark and evil. That was the whole purpose of this plot. The Queens of Darkness plot was to prevent Emma from turning evil, and they don't want her to do this. Even Hook, her boyfriend, doesn't want her to do this. And Emma has finally said the words at the worst time possible. She said, "I love you," but that's right before she takes on the darkness and takes on all that, like, Satan evil stuff on her, right? I'd call that's what it pretty much is, darkness, right? It's evil. It's no light. It's like the opposite of Christ like light here. Anyway, Emma's taking on the darkness. It must be sad for Hook to see his own girlfriend turn evil. Look at Emma's eyes going evil again, just like how we hinted at the beginning in earlier episodes. I told you, just like Isaac said in the Quell episode, that the story ends with the Savior going dark. He was not wrong. Season 4, not the story, because there's more seasons and she doesn't end being evil. But Isaac was right about one thing. By the end of season 4, she did become dark. And then finally, Emma vanished out of nowhere. So we don't know. You have no clue. You have no clue where Emma is. Emma vanished out of nowhere with the darkness, and only the dagger remains in the real world. And it says Emma Swan on it. Emma Swan is the new Dark One. And that wraps up our tonight's episodes because that's credits playing right now. We just finished season 4 and we have just finished what we could get through in our marathon this year. So I bet you're. And so now the only thing now is to look forward to next year. And until then, guys, we got 10 more minutes, so I'm not going to wrap up the live stream yet. But until then, I guess God be with you for the rest of the year because we're going to be in a new year next year. Anyway. So we only have 10 minutes remaining, not 15. So to be fair, I was really good this time at not talking in between episodes, only for like 2 minutes. So that kept each episode 45 minutes each. But the reason why we didn't end on time is because I started at 7:03, which explains the 9:18. But the reason why we didn't end until 9:19 was because somewhere in the finale, internet went off and our episode paused for about 30 seconds. And so anyway, that explains it. And we didn't start right on the dot. It was like 20 seconds after 7:03 that we started anyway. So that kind of, if you do the rounding, that's why we ended at 9:19 with pretty much 10 minutes to spare. And now we're literally 10 minutes because it's 9:20. But anyway, then obviously there's been no Q&A at all since this live stream. Really, I've been trying to respond to comments as they come, and I'm not on not every single live stream we get comments. So anyway, that was an impactful finale. So obviously the apprentice said the only one who could destroy the darkness is Merlin. They have to, who is in Camelot, if you know your fairy tales well. So something I mentioned in season 3 is we did get a flashback in the Neverland arc when we started our first half season arc. Back at the beginning of season 3. Snow White pulled a fake Excalibur from the stone, but it was a fake one. It was a test to see if she could be a true ruler, and because it was only a test, it wasn't the real Excalibur, because only Arthur could pull that out. Anyway, I mentioned how at some point in the series we were going to come back to Camelot, and then in season 4, when the episode where Rumpel is about to go across the town line, and stuff at the end of the Frozen arc, Rumpel, it was mentioned in the Belle and Rumpel flashback when Belle was kidnapped by the Queens of Darkness. It was mentioned that Rumpel just had a visit from Camelot, and he said, it was good for me, not so good for Camelot. We're gonna get a flashback of what his business was in Camelot in season 5. But like again, another Camelot reference saying, "Hey, we're gonna go to Camelot soon." I don't know if I mentioned it was gonna be season 5. So maybe some of you, having known that, you probably knew we were going to go to Camelot, but I didn't say which half of season 5, did I? So it still probably surprised you that we were going there like now, or next year. It's unquestionable whether it's going to be next week because I'm going on a cruise. I wanted to do the live stream on the cruise, but we have to pay for Wi-Fi, and my grandparents are the one paying for this trip, and they haven't been a fan of me doing these live streams too much. So I don't know if they're going to let me use Wi-Fi on the, it's the only reason they're paying Wi-Fi is for because next in January next week, college starts back up again, or I'm still on Christmas break. Even by next Sunday, I will have just barely finished Christmas break, and my homework won't start until Monday. So anyway, in the way, I guess I would still be on Christmas break if we got back together next Sunday. But since it's the end of Christmas break and we're going to be on the cruise the entire week. On the entire that week, right? They mostly, for the first week of college, they mostly only want me to use Wi-Fi for my homework. So there is a chance we won't be able to do this. Plus, I was told that live streams are not steady on the cruise. So, there'd probably be a lot of cutting in and out and probably remember those times in my room when our internet shut down, and luckily it didn't ruin today. But there's been times where something went wrong with our connection and the live stream ended early, and I had to, luckily for like one of the platforms, I can't remember, I think it was Facebook. Luckily for Facebook, I had the full live stream recorded on Facebook, and I had to download it and re-upload it to YouTube because the YouTube one, due to it using Wi-Fi to run the live stream, cut off the live stream and ended it early. And so to get the full length of the live stream, I had to download it on Facebook and upload it as a video on YouTube. I've done that before, remember? That's why on my live stream, that's why on my on my YouTube channel, some live streams are missing because they're not live streams, they're videos, because I had to upload the Facebook version because the YouTube didn't have the full version. Anyway, and there was a possible chance that that could happen on the cruise. So I have no telling if I'm gonna go live next week. But that's why when I was talking tonight and mentioning next week, I didn't say next week, I said next year, because I know for sure we're going to continue this marathon next year. It just might not be next week. It might not be the first Sunday of the year. It's also my brother's birthday. So another reason for not doing the live stream, even if we weren't on a cruise, would be to celebrate my brother's birthday. I mean, I don't think my sister's birthday was not a Sunday, so I don't think I ever did a live stream on any of my family members' birthdays before. If I try to remember right, my sister's was, trying to think now. I can just pull up my calendar. My brain is fried. My sister's was on a Monday, and my other sister's, let's see. Oh, go up. One more month. My other sister's was a Thursday, and then we didn't start until in April. We did do. Oh, my birthday was a Sunday though, so we did the marathon on my birthday. But my sister's was a Thursday. My other sister's was a Saturday, and finally, I had my parents in March, but we didn't start till April. So anyway, my marathon has never been on a birthday before, except for my own, which is okay, because if I were to spend my birthday, I would choose to do the marathon. But that doesn't mean that's how my siblings would want to spend their birthdays. And so, maybe I don't like missing the cake and ice cream and stuff. They're willing to hold it for me, but not for other people's birthdays. So anyway, another reason would be because it's my brother's birthday on January 4th, which is a Sunday. So it's not that we're celebrating his birthday on a Sunday. It's actually on a Sunday. So spending most of that Sunday probably doing church worship and then celebrating his birthday, there is a high chance we will not do it. If it weren't for his birthday, I'd still have high hopes. But, it might be 2 weeks before we do our next live stream, which is why at the beginning of this live stream, I was like, this is our last one of the year, because I'm technically not lying when I say this is the last one of the year. Until next time, see you next year, right? I'm not lying, because it will still be 2026 when we do come back the week after, right? 2026 doesn't last a week. It's longer than that. It's a whole year, 52 weeks. So anyway, that's why I tried very hard to avoid saying next week in my commentary, because I'm not 100% certain on that, so I didn't want to say anything unless I'm certain on it. So anyway, but we will meet next year for season 5. I think I like this better, because if I would have not been sick and would have not chosen to go on a date with someone, we would have been 6 episodes into season 5, and it would have not been good to skip a week due to it being in the middle of a season, right? Especially with the half season arcs ending around episode 11, it's weird. I never would like something like that. I think the right idea to skip a week is between seasons. So if I don't see you next week, I'm glad to see you in 2 weeks, because I skipped a week for being sick, and because I impressed a girl in September. Again, more reasons to finish a season at the end of the year instead of starting a season at the end of the year. In fact, it would have been before Christmas if I didn't unintentionally skip a week at all. It would have been before Christmas. Luckily, we're going to start season 5 after the holidays. And still, if it weren't for me being sick, it would have started after Christmas, but before New Year's. And I'm glad that's not happening. So along with the year 2025, along with this year, season 4 is now officially wrapped up. And starting in the new year, season 5, a brand new season. It's not really new. It's all the seasons are old, but new for this marathon. Embrace yourselves. Emma's evil, dark, evil, solid. Boom. I told you she was going to go evil by the end of the season. I didn't say how, so it wasn't a spoiler. That should have caught you by surprise. You didn't expect her to be the dark one. You expected Rumple to tempt her and have her shoot Lily or something, or turn evil by making sins. But no, it was by being the dark one. So ultimately, Rumple did succeed, but not in the way he thought of. He didn't turn the savior evil to rewrite happy endings for the villains. That plan failed. The Queens of Darkness got defeated. Not really defeated. Not the way Peter Pan and Snow Queen were defeated and the Wicked Witch before she came back from the dead, right? No, 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 no. The villains were defeated by either becoming a hero, repenting of their sins, and choosing the right and coming back to the light. It was either by getting a happy ending and only Cruella was killed. So anyway, nevertheless, the Queens of Darkness were in a way defeated, whether that was by getting a happy ending or being killed, right? So anyway, yes, the plan did fail, but as soon as the plan failed, it didn't fail completely. I mean, Rumple did succeed. I didn't lie. Villains did get their happy endings. Normally the hero stopped them before then, but they did get their happy endings. But even when they win, it still can be short-lived by a hero. Do you remember Star Wars when Anakin became Darth Vader? He won. The Empire won. But 30 years later, Luke and Leia grew up. They didn't win completely. They let baby Luke and Leia escape from the Empire, and they were able to grow up and defeat the Empire. So anyway, just again, the great apostasy. After Christ and his apostles died, true, the church and authority was gone for a while, but then it was restored through Joseph Smith. And for anyone who's a member of the church, you get what I'm saying. So anyway, sometimes in a way, it could seem like Satan or a villain or evil of sorts wins, right? But only temporary. That's kind of what we've witnessed here. Is Isaac did succeed in writing this fake fairy tale of heroes and villains, but then when Henry became the new author, it sparked some hope. They were supposed to stop. They were supposed to save the day by interrupting a wedding of Robin and the Wicked Witch. And when that failed, it was supposed to be told that all was lost. But it wasn't, thanks to Henry being the new author. There's always something. There's always hope. There's always a loophole once upon a time. They always find a way to keep things interesting and to keep things happy and alive for at least a moment before the next evil thing comes along. But, we weren't going to end in this alternate reality, obviously. It would have felt like watching a different show, and I probably wouldn't do this marathon anymore. No. I like the way things were before the Queens of Darkness came along. So anyway, so yes, and again in season 5, we are going to have multiple villains, let me say that, but it's not going to be as chaotic as Queens of Darkness. That was probably too much to focus on. There's, and if you include Rumple and the Wicked Witch, there was really 5 villains this half season, and that was probably too much. Understandably, I understand. But anyway, we only have 2 villains next season, just kind of like the Snow Queen and Rumpelstiltskin in the first half. Emma's obviously the villain you're all aware of. We're also getting another villain, though. So prepare yourselves for that. I'm not going to spoil who that is, but someone from the fairy tale of Camelot. So just a little hint there. Someone from, if you've seen The Sword in the Stone, or if you've seen the fairy tale Camelot outside of the Disney version, it's one of the characters does become a villain. I'm not going to spoil who. Just a little hint for next time. Whether it's next week or in 2 weeks, Happy New Year's. This is the last you'll ever hear of me in 2025, except maybe Facebook posts, and plus I'm going to send the links out later. Anyway, it is 9:32. We are overtime. We started at 6:51, so I was okay going to 9:31, but we were supposed to stop then. So anyway, sorry. I'm done talking now, so God be with you till we meet again. Anyway, 2 villains next season. We're going to Camelot, new arc. I'm going to change my profiles tomorrow. Anyway, I hope this season you've enjoyed my white and now a little bit of blue. I added blue just a couple weeks ago, halfway through this arc. So I hope you enjoy that. And next year, we get to start a new season. New year, new season. I like that better than being in the middle of one. I also do have to go to the bathroom now. So I'm going to have to end this right now and go bye-bye. But I'm supposed to end the live stream anyway. So the urge of going to the bathroom is just another way to avoid talking longer. I'm looking forward to evil Emma Swan with you. Even though Rumple's plan failed, Emma still eventually became evil. So now Snow and Charming, their worst fears have come to life, but maybe they can still bring her to the light. Pray and hope that there's still redemption for Emma Swan. All right, till next year. Bye, y'all.